from the Mittagong mushroom tunnel. I'm going to show you what to do with a shiitake growing kit. We're supplying them at the moment, and this is what they look like. I've got a few examples here of what it can look like. So this is when shiitake's grown out quite large, and this is the mushroom's getting towards the end of its life cycle and should be picked at this stage. At these stages here where the mushrooms are rounder and the cap's attached to the stem, or rounded shape I should say, they're still young. They've still got like another few days of growing. And if you grow shiitake outside, you get a donko style shiitake, which is this cracked surface drier shiitake. There's another one there, and they have a sweeter, nuttier flavour than the ones that you grow indoors. This is our shiitake growing kit. It's just a shiitake log wrapped in paper. So the instructions are here, and they're very straightforward. What we're doing is we're basically just going to soak these logs in water overnight and then place them onto a clean surface and grow them indoors, and then you're watering them every day. Basically it just unwraps like this, get them into water and weight it down. I found a rock that was around that fell off the mountain. I'll just put a rock on top of it and that will be fine. If this was at home, you just do it in a laundry sink and put something heavy on top. Something that's clean though, not too dirty. It really likes a lot of water, shiitake. So we'll leave that there overnight, and then the next day we'll take it out and put it onto something like the lid of a box or an oven tray, something like that. If you're growing it inside, you can either leave it on the kitchen bench or in the laundry. If you're growing it outside, just make sure it's off the ground and away from pests, because there are a few things that like to eat shiitake and they'll turn up. Okay, so shiitake is our strongest flavoured mushroom. It's got a strong meaty flavour when it's cooked. It's a bit like barbecued meat, the taste. And it's a very nutritious mushroom, and it's used medicinally as well. So it's a really great choice for people to try out a shiitake, because you'll get a lot of mushrooms. It's delicious and it's very healthy. It has these sort of hairy tines that grow on it. This is a mature form of the mushroom. This is an immature form. And the kits look like this. You pull them out of the bag. There are instructions on what to do with this. They're super simple. There is a small diagram as well. Basically, you're just making a small cut on the bag. The reason is to give the fungus access to oxygen. Now, on these bags here, we've made a little cut on top, and that mushroom's formed at where that cut is. This one here, I think that's just growing out through the middle, but again, because of the access to oxygen, that's where the mushroom will form. Make a tiny cut as well. So it can just be a very small stab, like this, 0.5 centimetre to 1 centimetre, and the mushroom will form there. You don't need to cut the bag again, and the bag will last for a long time. So this one's been growing mushrooms for about a year, and it's still popping out mushrooms like this. This is maybe 6 months old, and this is not the first flush. The first mushroom you get off these should be quite large, and with lion's mane you don't need to water them. You just leave them in a place where they're not going to get too dried out. Lion's mane you can eat at any stage, so you can eat the more immature form where it's pinky and the hairy bits aren't quite as long and hairy. or you can eat it at this stage. Once it starts getting this yellowish looking dry patches on the mushroom, then you need to harvest it. So you just harvest it by just breaking it off like this. And here is a lion's mane. So what we're going to do to prepare it for eating is I'm just going to pull it apart into small pieces, and it breaks apart like this, and then fry those up and add an omelette mix or add it to a stir fry or a soup, and you get this lovely mushroom and lovely texture going through your food. So it is a neurogenerative, which means it repairs neurons. So it is good for brain function and nervous system conditions. So it's very popular as a supplement, but it's also an excellent food as well. So that's lion's mane there. You can also grow mushrooms in a box as long as it's vented, and this provides a conditions that the mushroom likes to grow in, where it's not getting dry winds and there's a little bit of humidity. You can spray the outside of the container with a bit of water just to keep up the humidity if you're in a particularly dry place. Is yellow oyster mycelium growing through the sawdust. To stimulate a mushroom to grow, we need to give the log access to oxygen. So again, it's just a small cut on the surface. It can be on the top or on the side. It doesn't really matter, but you just need to make one cut only, and the mushrooms will keep forming from that spot. On this log here, there are also mycelium sort of bunching up underneath here, ready to form mushrooms. If you get a log that looks like this, you can just make a slit, a small slit on top of this part here, even though I said it only has one hole. But if it looks like this, if you get a log like this, make a small slit and the mushroom will come out at that spot. So you need to grow it in a place that's protected from drying winds. You can do that by popping it into a container and making a humid environment in here. You can just grow it in your laundry or kitchen, as long as there's not a breeze coming through all the time that's drying out the mushrooms. If mushrooms do get dried out, you just break them off and use them, and then another lot will grow. Yellow oysters, if you're not sure what to do with yellow oysters, you break them off. You can cut them into small pieces or just break them up into bite-sized pieces, and you cook them with chili and ginger. You can add tofu or pork, and it's a delightful dish. So that's golden oyster. King brown oyster. So we have king brown oyster growing kits at the moment. This is a bit rare for us, but we do have some. You need to cut down the side of the bag up to the substrate. So this stuff here is we call this substrate, and that's just the stuff that the mushrooms are growing on. So we cut a slit to that spot, and this is to allow air circulation through this little tented area. So the king browns will form in this little space here at the top of the log. So this is what they look like. They can look quite strange and have a lot of amorphous looking shapes, but all of that is edible. They can also grow to this enormous size like this if you let them grow out. And they are a delicious mushroom. They're usually prepared by cutting along the stem like this and frying those pieces. They have a similar texture to scallops and a sweet nutty flavour. You can also cut them into lengths and score them, marinate and barbecue or grill, and that's a lovely way to have them as well. So to harvest these, we're just going to take everything off the substrate like so. You just push it off, it'll just come off fairly easily like so. this. I'm going to take all the mushroom looking stuff off the top, and to grow another crop of these we're going to actually tape this up. So I've got some tape and I've got my scissors. I'm going to tape up this end. Do that. So I'm just taping this up, and I'm going to make a hole at the other end to grow the next crop. So, and now I'm just going to cut through here and make a little spot for the mushrooms on this side. So that should be fine, and the mushrooms will form here. So with the king browns that I've just harvested, they have a bit of woody substrate at the bottom. I'm just going to trim that off, and that's good to use. It's got a cute little baby mushroom as well. Anyway, again, you can grow them in a container that has air ventilation, and that's a good spot to grow them. You can spritz them with a bit of water, the king browns. They do like a little bit of water. And if you want something that looks a bit more pretty in your house, if you're growing them in your house, you can always pop the mushrooms in a vase and pretty it up.